Hi Simon, how are you?
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. So to start, I love the blend of action and comedy in a movie like this and the family moments because you have to have kind of the levity in the midst of all of this action. For you, what is like the key to making sure you have a balance between like checking in with the family and having a comedic moment while still having those action-packed kind of sequences?
Yeah, it's a few plates to keep spinning. I think the heart of it all is the other characters, the family. I mean, you've got Mark Wahlberg who's going to anchor any scene, whether it's action or comedy or realism or whatever. But the family works so well together that I hope the audience loves to see them in dangerous situations, loves to see them in funny situations.
Yeah, and it's how is it though for you? Because you've worked with Mark Wahlberg both within this franchise as well as in the past. But you've also done a lot of television stuff and not
Hmm.
necessarily like the big action pieces in television often are very different than the big action pieces in a movie. How is it for you to kind of adjust where action fits the best in something when it is, a television show versus something like Jessica Jones or C.
Well, yeah, I mean, something like C had a sort of, I guess it had a biggish budget. But yeah, this one we had a little more to play with, a little more going on, and there was, it's we're claiming to be an action comedy, so you've got to tr at least try and do something that's funny and something that's action. But yeah, I mean, I love the action side of this, and the more I do it, the more I just want to do car chases. They're so fun.
When when you're working with someone like Mark Wahlberg who has done action a lot in his career, what is the like dialogue like between the two of you when you're figuring out these scenes? Is it a back and forth or is it more that he like understands like what your vision is and goes with it?
Well, it's definitely a back and forth. I mean, the great thing about Mark is, I think his first standpoint is to trust the people he's working
Mhm.
with, and that's really empowering. If I turned up to work without a clue in my head, he'd soon, I'm sure, go, well, "Hang on a minute, what's going on?" But we were working with the same stunt person that Mark and I have worked with several times before. We always want to keep our actors safe, but we want to try and avoid AI. We want to try and avoid the blue screen thing. So that's one of the advantages of working with Mark is that he's both keen and also very capable of throwing himself into it. He can fight. He's famously fit. I wouldn't want to get into a fight with him. He would win hands down.
Yeah.
So physically, he's great, and we had a fantastic team with us. So we hope that we can sort of, up the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, I did remember about a third way through this movie his like absolutely insane daily routine. And I was like, that's right. This man wakes up like 4 in the morning to start working out. And I'm like, not me. Um,
Well, me neither, right?
like no. But I also love that you get to play with Kit Harington as like a bad guy with an Irish accent in this because I feel like so many of us have very distinct visions of Kit Harington. So when he gets to have a little bit of fun, it is fun for the audience. How was it like developing that storyline for this movie and seeing kind of, not only the lore of the Family Plan franchise kind of expanding with a character like that, but also getting to kind of challenge expectations of fans, especially for those of us who love Kit.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, he's played a hero for 7 seasons of a truly great television series. So, his credentials are pretty clear. I think it was really fun to have him play somebody who wasn't this sort of saintly figure, somebody who was, a malevolent mischief maker. And I think Kit loved that. And I think, as you say, he did an Irish accent, which it was completely his idea and really worked beautifully.
Yeah, one I wanted to ask too, because it is, as I was looking through your IMDb, but correct me if I'm wrong, your big budget feature films are all with Mark Wahlberg, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. When is that fun for you to look at your career and you're like, you've done some of my favorite TV shows because I love Jessica Jones. I loved Bloodline. I like you've done a bunch of shows that I love and watch. And then when you look, it's like, and then he got Mark Wahlberg. is it fun to be like, I can go back to Mark and be like, okay, buddy, we got to do another action movie. Like, I want to dive into this.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've known Mark for a while, but I've discovered working with him later in life,
Mhm.
and it's changed my approach, it's changed my attitude, it's made me a better director without question. Um, it's been a real positive boost. So, yeah, what's the next Mark movie? I'm currently available.
Like Mark. Well, and I too, I like that this movie uses London as a set piece. Obviously, it's because it's the holidays and they're there and all that kind of stuff. But I love when we have such a very specific set piece for a film, especially when it's like they are like the foreigners in this situation, like they're not actually from there. How was it for you as a director to get to kind of play with that in those scenes and have a little bit more fun with like specific locations within London or wherever it may be?
Well, that was fantastic. London, I guess, is that's the city where I've lived most of my life. Um, it's my home city, and I've filmed there an awful lot, but I've never quite been able to be as ambitious as this in London. So, like you say, being able to close down Westminster Bridge and Piccadilly Circus and, do big fight scenes on buses and things like that, that was a real boost for me. Just to have that little bit more leeway to be more ambitious.
Yeah, one I wanted to ask in comparison because again, I keep bringing her up, but she's my favorite. I love that like when the Netflix Marvel shows were happening, they really shut down New York because I live in New York and there were so many things that you're and now Daredevil's doing it again where we're like, okay, well, they're filming Daredevil up in X, Y, and Z. When you get to do that as a director, how is that feeling when you're like, hey, this is this place I've been so many times and now I'm in control of like this area of town that I may probably
Oh,
wouldn't have ever been in the past.
I just love that. I've been, filming in Grand Central, and on Jessica Jones, I was flying over the Manhattan Bridge in a helicopter, and yeah, it's being honest. I think New York is probably the greatest city in the world. London's my favorite, but New York is the greatest. Come on, and I've filmed there an awful lot, and that's the most charismatic city I know.
Yeah. When with this franchise, I do love talking about charisma. I do love that this entire family is just like they have one-liners. They're not afraid to be like, "Yeah, you're annoying me right now," and like they'll call each other out in their own ways, and it's very fun within the context of an action movie. What is the most fun for you of getting to kind of play with this family and their dynamic when you do have you get to have these characters grow throughout two films and see where they are in both their ability to say something to their dad while also fighting back when they need to.
Well, I've got kids about the same age, and they're starting. Well, two of them one's just left college, one's just going. So yeah, I'm no stranger to kids being really rude to me. My own children, how could they do that? But I think another fun thing is working with his family was great, and also watching Michelle Monaghan. I mean, she's always been pretty cool, but she's
Mhm.
getting cooler. So, with the White Lotus and the first film. So she's up to game, even if that's possible, even more. And she really stepped up and really enjoyed doing more action stuff. And the chemistry with her and Mark is just off the charts for me.
Yeah, listen, I'm a millennial, so I loved Eagle Eye when that movie came out. I was like, why is she not a bigger action hero? For our last question, with something like this, is this a well you want to go back to again? Is this like a story that you're like, oh, I really do love telling the family plan stories and where they go? Or do you kind of want to try something different with Mark or without in the feature film sphere?
All of the above. All of the above. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's so much fun, and you get to fulfill so many ambitions doing this family plan movie. Always love working with Mark. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to work on a sort of dark political thriller or a sort of R-rated
Mm.
chase movie or something like that. I think what this film has done is basically has just ignited my ambition to do bigger and more and better.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do next. I thought this movie was so much fun. And so thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was really lovely to see you.
Nice seeing you.